Hey Beagies, welcome back to the Craft Beer channel. Today we're doing something we haven't done in a long time, which is cooking, or rather, baking. Now, full disclosure, terrible baker. However, what I've come up with is a beautiful Imperial Stout and Biscoff Brownie recipe that will fill your gut, fill every part of you in that glorious way that brownies do, and indeed fill your time during lockdown, if we still are in lockdown. I presume we are, it's like 2030, something like that. Now, as I say, I'm a terrible baker. I've been doing lots of batches of this to try and get it right. It's actually a little bit tricky. Once you add beer to brownies, you get all kinds of weird stuff happening. So I went online to see if anybody had done it. A couple of people had. I found this amazing blog where they gave you a life story, gave the life story beforehand, where they had these beautiful pictures of these awesome looking gooey brownies, and then the recipe turns out wasn't great. So this recipe will not turn out like this, which is somewhere between a brick, a cake, and that thing you scratch your back with in the bath. It is still delicious though, just the wrong texture. So after a couple of failed attempts, I went to my friend B, who we've done videos with before and is an incredible baker, does amazing wedding cakes. Check out her Instagram. Had a conversation with her about the recipe that I'd come up with. She changed it all.
First problem I've got with the recipe is that there's not enough fat. You've got way too much rise in there. I'm just looking at the amount of flour and cocoa that you'd put in there. That doesn't look too horrendous. What temperature is it baked up?
I was doing it at... Didn't write it down, B. And we've come up with a delicious, sticky, gooey, fudgy, Imperial Stout, boozy Biscoff brownie. So before we get stuck in, let's talk about the beer. So this is from Round Corner Brewing. Not a brewery I actually knew particularly well until I did some beer judging tail end of 2019. And I tried, they had a rum barrel aged bock beer, big dark lager, that was absolutely stunning. Coconut, rum, and then all that lovely sweet raisin stuff that you'd get from a good bock. And I tried their Society for the Encouragement of Virtue, which I think must be sarcastic, which is their Imperial Stout, again in rum barrels, which I thought would be brilliant for this recipe because it's got loads of boozy raisins, rum, tiny bit of kind of vanilla-iness, dates, prunes, all that sweet sticky stuff that you want from a brownie, as well as notes of coffee and cocoa. Nothing like a morning Imperial Stout. One big benefit of using Imperial Stout in brownies though is it does dry it out a little bit. You do get a little bit of bitterness, and I don't have a hugely sweet tooth, so this is a really nice way of just balancing that out. So let's get stuck into the recipe. So as per B's instructions, on the hob here, I have a slightly reduced beer recipe with pretty much all of the carb gone. And to that, I'm just gonna move this brick out the way. To that, I'm gonna add my butter, 180 grams of that. That's going to start melting. Oh, where's my stirrer? The benefits of having a small kitchen in a pokey Zone 2 London flat. So in goes the butter, and that's going to melt in. Once that's all melted, I'm going to add my chocolate. So I'm using Fairtrade B Corp dark chocolate. You could use milk chocolate, but you'll end up with something a little bit sweeter than my brownie recipe. And you're going to need 270 grams of this. Loads and loads and loads of chocolate. There is a bin over there. I haven't got it in there yet, but there is a bin over there. So once that's all melted and smooth, what we're going to do is add a little bit of vanilla extract, a couple of drops, or a lot of drops. Next, we're going to add in our dry ingredients. So I've got 110 grams of flour, 40 grams of cocoa, and 225 grams of, I've gone for golden caster sugar. It doesn't matter a huge amount, but a little bit of darkness on your sugars, always good. So in that goes, and we'll stir that in. So it's starting to look a little bit like batter now. Whew. And then, and this is vitally important, once you're 100% sure it's cool enough, you can add the egg. If you add it when it's too warm, you're going to have chocolate scrambled eggs, which is probably not a good thing. And then go 3 eggs and mix that in. There we go. So once it's nicely combined and roughly smooth, doesn't need to be perfect, you want to stop mixing, because the more you mix it, the more you're going to make that cakey texture that I ended up doing by accident. And we want these things to be fudgy. So that looks like a really lovely smooth paste. So now what I have to do is add that to my 8 by 8 inch pan. Right, so the batter is tasting, oh, like liquid beer fudge. I've got my Lotus biscuits all up and over, and my batter's looking nice and shiny, and it's time to go in. Small kitchen maneuvers time. Now, depending on how thick your brownie is, and lots of other factors, it might take a little bit more, a little bit less, but what you want is for it to still be wobbling in the middle. Still gotta wobble. So now you've got to leave it until it's completely cool. If you try to cut it too early, you're just going to have goop coming out. What you want is for it to cool and set nicely, and then we can see how good this bad boy is. So I'm going to grab a corner piece because I want the maximum interaction of the fudge and the crispiness. Look at that. Here we go. That is hands down the best brownie I've ever made. Lots of roasty character, loads of chocolate, cocoa, a little bit of coffee from the Biscoff, absolutely beautiful. All of the booze is basically gone, so if you don't really love that booziness in puddings, there's only a tiny hint of it there. But otherwise it's just rich, decadent, and not too sweet. So give this a go, guys. Hit us up if you do make it on Instagram or on Twitter or on Facebook. We'd love to see your versions. Top it with whatever you want and let us know what beer you use for sure. Otherwise, I've got 9 of these and I can't take it outside to share. So that's a real shame.